What's going on? Albie with Albie Fitness Gaming, and you've seen the title of the video, you know why you're here. Mono White Death and Taxes, and today we're going to be playing against Mono Green Stompy. This is a deck that you don't really see a lot of. I've ran into this deck a few times already, but it's not a rare, a common deck that you will see, and that's one of the things that I love about Modern, that sure, there's a meta game, and there's probably like 10 decks that are the most popular, but those numbers are very slim, and there's so many decks in Modern. And this is why a lot of pros don't like Modern, because it's very, very hard to play a deck where you have an advantage against the field. I mean, if you're playing in a smaller tournament, then yeah, you can. But when you go to these huge tournaments, especially if these huge tournaments online or when they used to do paper, people play whatever they want, man. It's the Wild Wild West in Modern. That's why Modern, in my opinion, is the best format in Magic's history. That, and you don't have to deal with the ridiculousness of these reserve list cards that are like super expensive. But anyways, let's get into the game. So, our hand was a Thalia, a Stoneforge, an Archon. So we basically had a nice little disruption package with taxing creatures. So most decks, this hand is amazing. Opponent playing mono green. Thalia not at its best here. The Archon is always decent, 4 out of 10 at its worst. So to me, I'm like, all right, the Archon's going to at least be able to slow our opponent down. So these mono green Stompies, right, they want to either play a bunch of spells really fast or ramp and then play some gigantic spell and just destroy you. The Archon, although they don't play a lot of non-basics, so we're not going to get a lot of help there, only allows them to play one spell a turn. So it allows us to manage the board easier. So keynote, whenever you guys are playing against aggressive creature decks, don't side out your Archon, alright? Like in this situation, you look at it, you're like, it's not that good. But it's actually doing a lot of work right now, because it's limiting our opponent to 1 card per turn, which our deck is not the fastest, especially when we don't have a vial. So this allows us to manage the board and be able to put down our equipment and then start getting an advantage. That card is so good in this deck. But yeah, we have 2 taxing pieces here, so even their Utopia Sprawls or any other things that they play, I know they play some Planeswalkers. These Thalia is going to be able to set them back a turn on that. So, I mean, although these cards are not the best against the mono green Stompy deck, they're still doing, because they're combined together, they still disrupt the opponent a little bit, enough for us to start getting ahead. So now we have the Stoneforge Mystic. And here, all I'm thinking is, okay, eventually they're going to be able to start attacking us, and maybe we'll start chump blocking with a Thalia. That'll probably be the first creature to go. But my thought process right now is we need to get the Sword of Fire and Ice down as quick as we can and equip it to our evasive creature, the Archon, and start getting in this damage in quick. We need to end this game quickly. They have a better long game than us. They have more powerful spells the longer the game goes. So we need to just close out the game. And I say this time and time again with Death and Taxes. When you're playing these decks, your main goal is to make the opponent stumble by playing these creatures that create loop, these jumping through loops in order for them to cast their spells. You want to slow them down, but you have to have a plan to close the game. You can disrupt them all you want, but if you can't close the game, you're going to lose. So that's why Stoneforge Mystic was such a huge add-on to this deck, because it allows you to do that with equipment. You can equip, a sword to a Thalia or to even a Stoneforge or even Archon, and now you have a threat that can potentially end the game quickly. So we draw a Skyclave here. Skyclave, not at its best right now, so we're going to stick to the plan, which is getting down the Sword of Fire and Ice. They do have a creature here with Reach. So there was, I did think about Path to Exiling it last turn, but it's probably not worth it. It's probably just worth attacking and having them block for right now, because we're still early in the game and we don't want to ramp them while they still have 3 cards in their hand. We don't know what they have. Batterskull is really good in this matchup. It's another key victory card here that I'm planning on using. So, you know, we're gonna get our attack in. I'm thinking the opponent might block here, and I don't think they do. But the Batterskull, we're gonna keep it in our back pocket because the plan is eventually they're gonna start attacking us. We can flash in the Batterskull, chump block, gain some life, and then attach the Batterskull to the Archon, and that's gonna close out the game. So this Archon, right now, our strategy is we're going to try to ride this guy to victory like if he was a Delver of Secrets. And because our opponent's only allowed to play 1 spell a turn, it's going to make it very hard for them to create a board state where they can just run us over. Card is so good, man! It's really amazing to me how far Death and Taxes has come in Modern, how good it is now, you know, with all these new cards coming out. And the best part is none of these cards are busted or broken, so it's like you don't really have to worry about, like, man, they might ban a card. Like, the most powerful card, like power level, is probably Stoneforge Mystic, and that's, you know, now that we have it in the format, you look at it and you're like, you know, it's okay. It's an okay card. It's not as busted as it was a while back. So opponent here is going to turn their lands into 4/4 trampling creatures. So now, you know, they're coming in very aggressive, 10 damage per turn. So we're going to chump block immediately. Because next turn we know they're most likely going to either play a threat, but they're definitely going to create another 4/4 trampler. Now we do have Path to get rid of one of them to buy us some time. And we also have the Batterskull, like I mentioned earlier, which the plan is to chump block. But here we draw a land, so I'm like, okay, let's get rid of this reach creature here, the Grazer. That way we can get in our damage, right? Because we want to close out this game immediately. And you know, again, we can always just chump block with this Skyclave if needed. And they're just going to get a 1/1, which is irrelevant at this point. We also have mana up here for the Batterskull, and we have the 5 mana. So now we can flash in the Batterskull just like I was talking about earlier, you know, setting up a game plan 2 or 3 turns ahead of time. That way you can end the game, because that's what you need to do with these decks, is we're going to flash it in, chump block, equipped, and end the game. Sort of Fire and Ice. Another Stoneforge Mystic here, so we can grab the Skyclave if needed. I don't think the game is going to take that long because they're at 8, and we're going to be able to end the game next turn unless they play, you know, something that, even if they play, yeah, I mean, if they play something that has reach, we would have to draw a land and then Path, but that's fine because our opponent's restricted to 1 card per turn, and in order for them to kill us, they have to attack us. And if they tap out, we can always get in with other creatures. And also, just keynote, we can also Flicker Wisp the Batterskull if needed. Or we can also Flicker Wisp one of their lands to get rid of the creature effect on it. So they just play a Sylvan carry out here. So for me, I see that, I'm like, okay, now I know that's the only spell they can make. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe they're trying to set up a massive spell for next turn because they have a lot of mana. But that's fine because we're going to be able to end the game right now. So opponent swinging in for lethal here. Another thing we could have done is we could have chump blocked with the Stoneforge and then violin the Batterskull, but I feel that gaining the 4 life is better, especially since we need to equip this to the Archon to just end the game. Now they could have had possibly a Dismember, and that could have been a problem, but I don't think that deck plays Dismember. So here, I accidentally take out Stoneforge, but we put them back in, as you'll see shortly here, because actually the card that we're taking out is going to be the Thalia Guardian of Thraben. It's not at its best right here. I mean, it probably did some work that game. I don't know. I don't know what they had in their hand, but it's not at its best. What we definitely want is Winds of Abandonment. They have a lot of hex-proof creatures. They're going to be trying to go wide. That card is going to be really good in this matchup in case the game becomes like a stall and it gets a little bit longer. We also bring in Mirran Crusader. Mirran Crusader, being protection from green, is going to be brutal. And I already know, because I've played a lot of Mirran Crusaders in my day against green decks, especially back in the day when he was one of the key cards you would play against Tarmogoyf decks. You know, Mirran Crusader with a sword, it's over, baby. It's over. So this hand right here, not good enough. We're going to send it back. And boom, this is a good hand here. We got Aether Vial, we got our Archon, we got some removal, we got the Mirran Crusader, and we have the Stoneforge Mystic to get us our Sword of Fire and Ice. That's the equipment that we want with Mirran Crusader, because that's going to end the game extremely fast. So we put away Path, the weakest card in this hand. Aether Vial, so I'm assuming they're bringing, obviously, sideboard cards, which is good for us because that means they have to dilute their deck. And really what they're going to probably try to do is kill things like Aether Vial, which they didn't see last game, so maybe they don't bring anything, but maybe they bring in Nature's Claim to get rid of the equipment since Batterskull and the Sword ended the game last game. That's what I would assume. That's what they look at as the threats. But that's good for us because now, even if they, dilute their deck by trying to get rid of these artifacts, now we can use this Mirran Crusader to get us to victory. Because even a Mirran Crusader, even without a sword, is going to be a very hard creature for them to deal with here. So Stoneforge Mystic here. We're going to grab the Batterskull here. So my thought process is right now is, okay, we're going to grab Batterskull. They probably have an answer for it, because it killed them last. I'm assuming. But my thing is, if we draw a land, we're not going to play the Batterskull. The Batterskull is good if we don't draw a land. Like, that's what we're going to play. If we draw a land, we're definitely playing the Archon. The reason we're doing that is because my biggest fear against these mono green aggressive decks is that they just go wide, right? So we need to slow them down. The Archon's going to limit them to one spell per turn. That's an easy way. We can handle that board state, right? One creature a turn, we can handle that. If they start playing multiple threats, that's when we're in trouble. So we're going to slow the game down. We're going to have them play our game, which is a slower pace game. That's what we want. So the Archon is the better option here. So we're going to play the Archon here. And then next turn, depending obviously what they play, I'm going to assume they're going to play some type of creature or Planeswalker. Nothing too threatening. We're going to then bring in the Skyclave Sword, attach it to the Archon, and attack, and then we will vial in the Mirran Crusader and take it from there. Now, I know I said I wanted the Sword of Fire and Ice, but like I mentioned earlier, the Batterskull, because we did not have that third land, made more sense. Otherwise, if we would have had the third land in hand, I would have gotten the Sword of Fire and Ice. That's just a better it's better than Batterskull because we have Vial, which we can vial in the end. We have the Mirran Crusader, so we have the resources to get this done nice and fast. All right, so opponent passes turn here. They don't play anything and they have 3 cards. So I'm thinking, okay, they probably have something to get rid of the Batterskull because that's what they probably see as a big threat, and we draw the sword, of course, because we're good. Or they just have some massive spells that they're waiting to dump on us, right? So sticking to the plan here. We're going to stay aggressive because we need to end the game as fast as possible now that we're ahead. Because we don't have the strongest cards, my friends. And then next turn, if we draw a land, it's easy. Because at the end of the turn, we're going to vial in the Mirran Crusader, play the sword, attach the sword, and just start getting in for a lot of damage. And the opponent not going to be able to do anything about that unless they have Dismember. No, not even. Dismember does not even do it. I just remember Mirran Crusader is protection from black and green. Got him. So let's see, opponent playing a spell here, 1 green. The Utopia Sprawl is on green, so I know it's not Dismember. I mean, it could be, but you would imagine that they would set that to black to at least save some life. So it's Nature's Claim, so I had a feeling there was going to be some type of sideboard interaction here for us. And they're going after the equipment just like I figured. Maybe, I mean, I don't know, maybe they should have went after the Vial. The Vial would have, if they would have taken care of the Vial, assuming they've had that card for a while, it would have slowed us down big time. You know, but I don't know, maybe their thought process is, hey, whatever, they can use that Vial all they want. If we can get rid of their equipment, they can't kill us. So opponent has a lot of land here. 6 mana, 7, and then their creatures cost 1 less to cast. So like 8 mana for a creature. So they can play some pretty scary things here. So here we're gonna, of course, vial in the Mirran Crusader. I'm interested to see what the opponent has in their hand. And Wind of Abandonment, that's good. Because now we have a plan for in case, you know, somehow they get rid of our threats or we're not able to kill them in time. At least we have something to handle their board. So that's the thing about a lot of these decks is sometimes they dilute their deck. Their deck has like a main game plan and they have to dilute it in order to like handle some of our cards. And then, you know, like Nature's Claim there was good, but I don't know, maybe they have other sideboard cards in their hand that they're not able to play right now because they're not good. I don't know. But opponent has a lot of land, and let's see what they play here. Or they could be lands. Come in with a massive spell here. Opponent says never mind. So based on that right there, that kind of tells me like, okay, they have a big spell, but they probably miscounted how much mana they had. So to me, I'm like, okay, we probably want to end this game now. Even, you know, although that's the game plan, it's just to end it as fast as possible. But now I'm a little concerned because I'm like, what are they trying to play? Because they looked like they were going to play something big, and then they had to retract. Which, the way I'm looking at it is, maybe they miscalculated their mana by 1. But the Mirran Crusader is going to be able to end the game here by itself. Because that's, yeah, the Mirran Crusader, I believe, deals 12 damage here on its own. Yeah. Yep, and that's it. It's a wrap. And then I'll let my opponent know, GG. Well, there you have it, my friends. Mono White, Death and Taxes. If there was any plays that you had any questions about, please comment at the bottom. Let me know. Anything I could have done better, please comment at the bottom. We're all here to learn together and just become better Magic players when we play these Death and Taxes decks. Let's push this deck to the front line of the format and show all these other goons in the format that Death and Taxes is here to stay. Anyways, please hit that like button. It helps out the channel a lot. As you can see here, it is 8:19 in the morning. So I'm up making this content for you guys, you know, and if you enjoy my content and you want and you know, you just enjoy my videos and you want other people to see them, share them. Hit that like button. The algorithm will populate it and put it on other people's watch list so they can watch it. You know, it really helps out the community, you know. I do this for all you guys, so, you know, and I do this because, you know, obviously it's fun, but at the same time, it's like you guys get to watch me play, you learn from me, but I'm also going to learn from you guys because you guys can let me know, hey, I've already had comments where people say, hey, that person could have done this, they should have done that, and it teaches me, it helps me, and then that also helps me create better content, which when you look at it, it's going to help all of us just become better Death and Taxes players, right? So we got to build this community. That way we can make this deck tier 1, but we can make it the best deck in the format, son. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and peace out.